Hello, this is Grant Cameron, and I just want to make a few comments on CE-5's Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind. From my experience over many years, this is simply known to me as a contact modality. There are a number of different ways that we can make contact. It's the idea that we're making contact with whatever the intelligence is behind the UFO phenomena. And CE-5 is just one of the names that's been given to it. We use this term, I think, to appease the scientific religious high priests of the 21st century. If we called it contact with intelligence behind the UFO phenomena, we're afraid that the scientists will get out the wood and the matches and start the trial. We call it CE-5 because that sounds scientific. But there are a number of different protocols that have been used. My basic understanding is that everything is consciousness. Both we and the intelligence behind the phenomena are in the consciousness field, or some people call the domain of pure information. The signal is there for everybody to hear. Unfortunately, because we are human beings, we have a rational, analytical left brain that is a piece of work. It creates tremendous noise and blocks the signal. What contact modalities, particularly the CE-5, is to be able to block the noise and pick up the signal. A little bit of history on this. The CE-5, the main protocol that people use, is one that was developed by Stephen Greer. And Stephen Greer stated that he got it as a teenager, in about 18 years old, when he was taken on board a ship, and they detailed to him the different protocols that should be used in order to make contact between the beings and the people on the ground. And most people use the Greer protocol, but there are other protocols that have been used. If we go back to 1974, I guess almost the same time that Greer got it, Charles and Sixto Paz, who were Peruvians, also developed a technique. They were doing automatic writing, and they came across a contact with a being that claimed to be extraterrestrial, and they demanded for this being to prove itself, and it told the two brothers to go out into the desert south of Lima, Peru, 8 o'clock on Saturday night, and they would appear, and they did appear. This led to what is known as program sightings. So the way Mission Rama works, this is the group that was developed by the two brothers, the Paz brothers, is that they pick up automatic writing signals. They will pick up signals in terms of preferably two people get the same message, and the message is tells them where to go, what the location is, and exactly what the time is. My particular case, when I was involved in an event with them, they had the time down to 9:33. Two separate people said 9:33, and that is exactly when the event took place. Now, this is a protocol that they developed in '74, and it's now, I think, Sixto told me there's 25,000 people around the world that use this type of protocol for making contact. There's others that have used similar type protocols. They've been trained sort of in Mission Rama, but have their own sort of spin-offs of it. And one is Ricardo Gonzalez, and he was the one that was running the event at Mount Shasta when I was there, when he got a message, which was given to me, that there would be a program sighting. And as I said, they had it right down to the minute and the location as to where this sighting would take place. The other one that uses similar protocols is Enrique Villanueva. And I was at his event last August in Mount Shasta, and he uses similar protocols, and he also had, there was an encounter event at that event, which people were picking up signals as to what's going on. Now, you can see that there's a bunch of people who have developed these different protocols, but it goes all the way back to Wilbert Smith, who was the Canadian guy who ran the Canadian government UFO program, or the Flying Saucer program, from 1950 to 1954. Wilbert Smith had a number of methods of contact modalities that he's using to contact the alien that he was dealing with, which was the name of AFFA. He also used automatic writing, and so did his wife, which most people don't know. I was told the story of his wife doing an event in Ohio, where she took an entire yellow legal pad in the dark and basically did automatic writing until the whole pad was full of material. So you can see these things go all the way back, and that there's been various protocols, various different methods to get this type of contact. The thing that I'd really like to sort of emphasize about CE-5 contacts, and that is that some of them are effective and some of them maybe are not that effective. One of the things that I really believe is very important in any sort of contact modality is to keep in mind the idea of vibration. This is something that I really thought was a bunch of garbage until I actually saw it last August. If you go to other different types of contact events, you'll see this idea that you have to raise the vibration in order for the contact to be made, and as well as shutting off this rational analytical brain. But the contact of the event is very important in terms of vibration. It's actually very similar to something I'm studying at great length now, is physical seances, and it uses exactly the same principle. In physical seances, they use music and they use laughter and these type of things to raise the vibration in the room. I just did an interview with Walter Rooker, who has attended 30 seances, is pretty much of an expert and has seen all the major physical mediums in the world, who says he can actually walk into a room before the event actually takes place, and he can tell whether it's going to be a good encounter or whether it's going to be a bad encounter based upon the what the attitude of the people in the room and whether there's vibration. The same thing was also shown in a test. We can go to 1972 in Toronto, Canada, a parapsychology test. It was called the Philip experiment, in which the 8 parapsychologist types built a theoretical ghost, and they created this ghost, and he had a profile. His name was Philip, from the 16th century, and they've spent a year trying to meditate to get the ghost to levitate the table and to make contact. They were not able to do that at all. It was only when someone suggested to them that they bring in music and start to have a good time. As soon as they did that the very first night, suddenly Philip showed up and started to interact with them and played out this role of this ghost. So the vibration was very necessary, and this experiment has been done a number of times where people have able to create ghosts that are able to do paranormal things like levitate tables and rapping and these sort of things. And so finally, I'd like to say, in terms of contact modalities and this vibration thing, I didn't believe this until last fall. I saw a prime example of the fact that you have to have the right attitude when you're doing a CE-5, because if you're there just playing around and joking and whatever, you're not going to get any effect. I was at the Enrique event in August of last year, and what happened there, they had gotten message. They were 2 different people had messages that they were to go higher up on the mountain at midnight on this Saturday, that there would be a contact event taking place there. And so what happened was, what the Rama protocol is people sit in a circle, and you raise the vibration not by doing music but by doing mantras and meditation, and this goes on for hours to raise the vibration so that the beings can lower their vibration and come in, and the circle has raised their vibration, and unless that circle vibration is raised, nothing will happen. So were doing this, and at one point they decided now we have to go to the mountain, and what happened was half of the people in the group suddenly decided that it was time to go. Everybody stopped doing the mantras, the meditation. There was maybe 10 people that left. Everything stopped. They got into cars. There was cars moving around, and they were going to do what was called a crystal ceremony just outside the circle. They had a very high vibration in this crystal circle. As the cars started to move around, as soon as the cars started to move around, the energy fell off in that field, and they could never revive the energy in that field. It was one of the few times they haven't done a crystal ceremony, and it shows that once you have a break in the vibration and a break in people's thoughts, and everybody starts doing stuff, and everybody just sits quietly, the energy drops off. So CE-5s are a protocol of contact I have a book coming out that's going to deal with 70 different contact modalities, but CE-5 is one that it appears that the intelligence behind the phenomena has given to people in order to help us make contact, but there's many different types of protocols that can be used. CE-5 is probably the main one. Thanks.